So Simon Taylor's not here, so Jenny Healey for the Cass Bay Reserves Management Committee.
Going to talk about something to do with Oh, no, I hope it's enough to go round.
You want to just click on this mouse to go through the slides?
Thank you. Oh, sorry. I'll just have to talk a long time. As I say, I hope there's enough to go round. I miscalculated how many packets I needed. Good. Well, you'll be pleased to hear that I'm not going to make you visually impaired on this presentation. But I've come back to talk to you about the Cass Bay playground. And in my submission, first of all, I'd like to thank you for funding the new toilet block in Cass Bay.
Yay! A good toilet block.
Well, it's not there yet, but we're working on it. It's in the pipeline. No, it's not a complaint, and it's very, very exciting. But as a result of that, it may be moved a little, but there will be obviously quite a bit of disturbance in that area of the playground. And basically my submission is that we would like you to upgrade the playground to coincide with the renewal of the toilet block, because we believe that this would be more cost effective, as landscaping and other things will only need to be done once, that there'll be less disruption to the public because they'll only be excluded from the area once instead of twice, and it will result, more importantly, in a more cohesive and better use of the limited space that's available there. Otherwise, the toilet block might be moved and we'll end up with this sort of bit of land that might not be funded for renewal of or done anything with until 2023, when our playground next comes up for review. So this request is in line with the Christchurch City Council focus on parks, because you have there that you provide citizens access to fit-for-purpose recreation and sporting facilities. And our playground is in a very, very bad state of repairs. There's only one bench there now and it's collapsing, and the surrounds to the playground are rotten. And it's quite a lot of the facilities are about 26 years old. So they don't come up to your performance standard level that playgrounds will be 90% or better, and that fixtures will be 95% or better in terms of facilities. And as part of this opportunity, we would like to make our playground accessible, because 24% of New Zealanders have some disability, and the New Zealand Disability Strategy says that accessible communities free from barriers enable us to participate and contribute to on an equitable basis with non-disabled people. And that's very much part of what you are saying is the Christchurch City Council vision, that it's an accessible city and that you want communities involved, which I think our Cass Bay community has shown by looking after this playground and planting it and watering it in the summer, releasing the plants and looking after them for a number of years. Oops. Move on. Oops. Now my presentation's just stuck for some reason. Sorry. You might just have to listen to me talking. Sorry, you're going to miss the pretty pictures. I'm not sure why this has just got stuck. Okay, I found another way around it. So lack of access for disabled children leads to social isolation because they're unable to play alongside their siblings or their peers. And I've seen this in our playground where a disabled child has come with their family, and this child had complex needs, and all they could do was lay it on the grass. There was nothing that in our playground that child could do with its siblings. When I talked to the council people about that, they said, oh, well, in Christchurch we do supply 3 playgrounds which have accessible equipment. They had approached the specialist schools, and they said that they normally take the children in their classes in vans to the playground, so having 3 was fine. But my question is, what happens when these children are out with their family? What do they play with during the week or the holidays when they have nowhere accessible? And then they will become, as I said, isolated. It's been shown that it makes them less likely to want to move, and we want our young people to move because of the obesity problems and everything else. Because they found the environments, they don't have confidence to move, and they find them quite frightening. Visually impaired adults find playgrounds quite terrifying because they don't know where they're going to bump their heads, things like that. It also leads to poorer self-esteem, and giving them the opportunity to just be part of the community is such an important thing in terms of their independence and things like that. Accessible playground equipment is for everyone. So when I'm saying we'd like at least another piece of equipment, preferably 2, it's for everyone. As you can see here, these pieces of equipment, one's a musical thing, that would give great input to a child with all sorts of sensory needs. The bouncy things and the basket swings, they're very good for vestibular stimulation, which is important if you're blind, or all sorts of other needs. Oh, it's happened again.
She's the arrow.
I tried the arrow, it's just coming up with something else. Oh, what's happened there? Oh, there's another one. There's another picture of some equipment next, actually. We had the playgroup down at the playground the other day, and all of the children were fighting over the one baby swing. If we'd had a basket swing there, we could have had 3 kids on it, and they would have been quite happily playing, which is really important for social integration. There's a growing need for there's a growing use for the Cass Bay playgrounds, because currently we have 15 preschoolers in the bay, and then there's a whole load of grandparents who babysit on a regular basis for their children. We have local functions, we have the Halloween party, and we had a very successful beach party there this summer. School groups, it's very popular with them for beach studies and outdoor education activities. Large number of visitors come from Christchurch to our beach, and of course they're using our playground all the time, and it is on the head-to-head walkway. So it's a popular place for children to have a bit of a stop off and have a play before they move on to the next stage. So what we are asking is, please will you reprioritise or put this a little bit further forward. We're not asking for a new playground, we're asking for the opportunity to upgrade our existing playground, to make it accessible and to work in with the new toilet block. And hopefully it will, as I say before, be more cost effective for you guys. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Sarah?
Thank you very much. I'm just wondering if you'd talked to the community board at all. So are you aware that the community board are the ones who make the decisions on the playground?
I have presented to the community board, and
because our community board made decisions to add pieces of accessible equipment to 2 different playgrounds. So,
and they have said they support this submission.
great, cool. So they'll get to make the decision on the
Yes.
types of equipment and stuff. So what you're really asking for us for is just the funding to be brought forward.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
2023.
This is this is Cass Bay Playground.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because we've got a schedule that shows both for the Flying Fox and the Bark Playground Service there is money on budget, both for the 2019 and 2020.
I haven't been told about that. And I did have a meeting
We've
on
all
site.
got this.
It might go to a different, point that was made by an earlier submitter in terms of density, finding out what's on the budget. But I think your submission's really clear.
We've all got
The Flying Fox doesn't solve the problem of
Not
the
at all.
accessibility.
No.
No.
And
But there was
the complete
25 grand plus
Um,
another 725.
But it may well be that some careful consideration, particularly with some advice from the local community board, might enable us to revisit the priority in the area. Phil?
You might be aware that near the Barrington Mall there is a beautiful children's playground, and particularly designed for children with disabilities. So I'm just wondering though, is one of the things sort of at a higher level that you might like to see is that somehow in terms of the way we prioritise our council spending, that children be given a higher priority and we plan more around them than perhaps we are.
I would like to see that anybody with a disability has a high priority. And of course that does, my special area of interest is children, but I think it would...
It's more your concern as especially people with disabilities.
Yes.
And accessibility.
Yes, basically.
Yeah, and you're not the only one to raise it. And, one of the community boards probably used half of their presentation time making exactly the same point.
And
So
they've
it is definitely an important need in terms of ensuring that the equipment is able to be used on an accessible basis.
If we can enable
Yes,
children with disabilities to feel confident and to grow up feeling able to move around in their environment,
Yeah.
it prepares them for that transition to beyond childhood,
Yeah.
and that really sets them up for the future.
But,
And I know about Barrington because it was one of the 3 that was mentioned. We're not asking for something as fantastic as that, but just 1 or 2 pieces of equipment
Yep.
would just make all the world of difference.
Yes. Aaron, did you want to?
Yeah, just that as a city, what we've done with our transport is tried to make it accessible for all. So as you redesign gutters and streets and that it's accessible for all, we try and do it with our toilets, and they still got a way to go because New Zealand standards are so low. But hopefully this will help spark us moving towards our playgrounds, being all our playgrounds as we go forward are accessible for all, so someone with a disability when they turn up don't kind of go, oh, it's not one of the 3 in the whole city. It's like, oh, I'm so special, you have to leave me out. So that everyone we design is inclusive for everyone, including grandparents who might have disabilities and stuff, and so on
Totally.
and so forth.
Because it's not, I know that in our community, somebody said, well, we don't have any disabled children, but actually we do have one. But it was...
Well, it doesn't matter if you do or don't. A disabled child
Yeah.
should never turn up and feel excluded because of the design. And someone who's been really outspoken is Kelly Dugan from Smile Dial. He gets really angry and bitter and writes great letters. And that's the inspiration we need to use, is to take those people's energy and just kind of create a benchmark that become possibly one of the first cities in the world to do it, not the last catch up.
And you're totally right about the grandparents, because there was a person in our community who used to walk to the playground and you can sit and watch the sea or your grandchildren. He can't go there anymore because we've got nowhere for him to sit because the bench is collapsing, it's too low. And because he hasn't got the energy to walk to the park and walk back without a rest, can't do that anymore. So it's not just children, actually. It's the whole community.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's much appreciated.
It's okay.
I know that people have it on their agenda to have a quick break, but if you could just have a quick break and then come back. Can someone put some hot water on my